This is going to be a tell-all video with a case study to show you what it takes to sell a property in a down market like right now. If you're a seller thinking about selling now or in the near future, this is a must-watch video so you can manage your own expectations just to see the amount of effort that needs to go into a listing for you to have a successful sale. We're currently in a market where just about any listing that comes on the market will usually sit. So meaning depending on the type of property you have, whether it's a townhouse, condo town, freehold, detached, usually a fraction of the new listings that come on the market will sell. So on average, for any new listing that comes up, 1 in 4 to 1 in 6 will actually sell. The rest will not sell. They'll have to relist, terminate, price reduce, etc. So in this video, I'm actually going to do something that I haven't seen done before. I'm going to go from beginning to end. I'm going to tell you how I originally sat down with the sellers of this property, how I did the home evaluation, what I thought this place is going to sell for, what it ended up selling for, and what happened in that entire time period as the market changed right underneath us. For the purposes of this video, it's very important for me to be transparent and to show you everything from beginning to end, just so that you see there's accountability in this entire process. So the first thing, with every single listing that I potentially take on, I do a listing presentation for the sellers where we see whether or not we can come up to a reasonable expectation on price based on their own expectation, as well as what I think the place is actually going to sell for. This usually will happen about a month to a month and a half before a listing actually goes live. So in this case, I started talking to the sellers here about June, July for a listing in August. And this is effectively what we ended up discussing. So the 4 pricing methods I go for first is the homeowner's price. So every homeowner will have a number in their mind. The first question I'll always ask everybody is, what is the homeowner's expectation? And this will decide how I think this listing is going to go, because if expectations are too far detached from what I think is going to happen, we're going to struggle with the listing. And then if they're in line, then obviously it makes everything much easier. 4 methods I use are obviously the homeowner's price, what their expectation is. Number 2 is the growth approach, based on when they bought it, the things they've done, what it should be worth today based on what prices have done since. Number 3 is the comparative approach, where you're looking at the most recent comps or comparables in the area to decide what their place is going to be worth. And then an automated valuation is something that banks use for appraisals, for quick appraisals, which is usually pretty accurate depending on property. With that said, here are the numbers we came up with before going live and listing this place for sale. Now, just to recap, this was done in the middle of summer where the market was still half decent, although the summer is usually a much slower time. The market was still moving properties. In and around August/September, that is when the market turned for the worst. Obviously, we had come up with these prices before that. So based on our expectation and averaging things out, we thought on a best case, we might get about 807 or 810 as best case, but an average of 787 roughly is what we were expecting. The sellers were good with this, and we moved on to list this property in the beginning or towards the tail end of August. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that most of the work when it comes to a successful sale of a property happens before the actual property goes live. And that is by way of actually making sure that the property is looking as good as it can, so that you can have the best photography, your staging works, and the presentation of the entire package is as good as it can be, because a listing, once it goes live, the longer it sits, the more stale it becomes and the less traction it gets. And I will show you that with the numbers so that you can see the stats of how many views, showings, and different things happened as the listing was aging out. Now, given that this was an end unit condo townhouse in a fairly nice area of Newmarket, we felt that we would probably have a decent amount of traffic. So at that time, we felt that a bidding war would likely be our best bet for selling this place. So we had priced the listing at $749 with 8 days, and then we had an offer night, at which point we got some offers, and then we picked an offer and we thought we were done. Not so fast. This is when the market turned on us, but let's get into the details of what happened from listing to offer night. To give you an idea of the level of prep that goes into doing a listing properly, here's the before and after. So this is how the property was bought, and these are the different things that my clients did during their ownership to make it better, and then what we did in terms of staging and prep. So this is what it was like before. Decent property, nothing fancy over here. And this is how it was presented, and this is how it was bought by my clients. Now let's take a look at the level of work they did, and then how we presented it with proper staging and proper photography. Here is the exact same listing listed now with some work. So we did some interlocking, some landscaping, but most of the work was done inside, and it was just very tastefully done. So the kitchen was obviously redone, floors were redone, a lot of staging that went into here. But overall, it looks like a magazine spread, and effectively that's what you're trying to achieve with these properties. You want to put them on the market put your best foot forward, and obviously try to generate as much traffic as possible and get it over with quickly. This is how you get the highest price in the shortest amount of time. Obviously in a down market that changes. We're going to go over into that, but at least you're seeing what the property looks like and how it was presented when it came on the market now. Now, before going live on the MLS, one thing you want to do is you want to create good video content that resonates with people that may not necessarily look at New Market. So for example, New Market has a reputation. Personally, I'm a big fan of New Market, tons of value, tons of great neighborhoods, but some people may not perceive it the same way. They may think New Market is old New Market, so therefore I don't want to live in New Market because all of it is the same. So my goal is to create media and marketing content that I can address and put in front of other people that may be considering East Gwillimbury, Aurora, Stouffville, and other places, and to show them, hey, here's the type of property that you're looking at, which is much cheaper. It's a New Market, but hey, look at how good New Market is. So with this video that I'm about to show you now, we created the video in a way where we wanted to showcase New Market and what it has to offer and the potential, because New Market is a great place to live. It wasn't so much focused on the property, although the property is great. Take a look at the video of New Market. I explained why I made the video the way I did, and then I ran targeted Facebook ads with this video to drive even more traffic into my open houses before the offer night. Here's how I drive more traffic to my listings using creative video like this one to capture buyers that may not be considering this specific area where my listing is. For this turnkey townhouse, my focus isn't the property, although it is a beautiful one and it's great value. See for yourself. In this video, I'm selling the buyers on the amenities that they may not know about that are in the immediate vicinity of this property, such as the farmer's market, the weekly concerts, the skate parks, the trails. Now, my ads are targeted at audiences in areas outside of New Market, as I'm trying to capture prospective buyers who may not have considered New Market because they don't know what it offers. I will run a video like this for 72 hours before an open house with a very high budget. I'll drive tens of thousands of views through Facebook and Instagram, which in this case resulted in 3 new groups coming through the open house and 1 seriously considering putting in an offer. These are not from Realtor or MLS. After getting our listing ready and going live on the MLS with our video content, I did what I do with all my listings is I ran targeted Facebook ads, which go on Facebook and Instagram. They're extremely good at getting in front of the right people, especially if you know how to run these ads. They're extremely effective. And just to show you, here's the ad set that I ran in the first week of this listing going live, where I got in front of 25,000 people that usually wouldn't have seen this. From the 25,000 people, or 24,359, I had 51 people reach out directly to find out more about the property. And from the 51, I got 4 of these people to come to the actual open house that was coming up in the weekend prior to the offer night. And this is what successful social media targeted ads look like. And this is how you drive more traffic to your listing. As a seller, your primary concern is to drive traffic into your listing because that is the only way you're going to be able to solicit offers. And obviously with the more traffic, the higher probability of more offers. And with more offers, the higher probability of getting a better price and a cleaner offer. Now, to give you further context, these Facebook ads are so effective that, as you will see right here, the total views of this listing on MLS or Realtor.ca during the duration that it was listed was over 6,100 views. This is a pretty high number because a lot of listings will even struggle to crack 1,000, 2,000, maybe 3,000. But usually listings do not get 6,000 views on MLS when they just come on the market, especially when the market is soft or we're in a down market like we are right now. It's important to remember this because we had to relist this property and price reduce it after the fact, and I'll show you why. But it's important to have this context to see how the longer a listing sits on the market, the less attraction it gets and the less views and favorites and less people are gravitating towards it because they feel it's a stale listing. But we'll get to that in a second. So this is the context you need to see what effective marketing, great presentation will actually do for your listing. And the proof's in the pudding. Here's the offer we got on offer night. We had $815,000 offer that we received and we had accepted. To give you a little bit of context prior to this. So we had 22 showings in the week that we were listed. We had 2 open houses on Saturday and Sunday where we had about 14 groups come through, over 50 people in total. We had a lot of interest. On offer night, we had 1 offer, but it was a very good offer at $815,000. And if you remember, I had pegged the highest value for this property at about $810. We got $815. Great. Now, there was one catch. At the time of this offer, the buyers had come in and asked to give us an offer with an escape clause. What that meant is that they were making their offer contingent on them selling their property in order for them to firm up on this property. They had asked for us to give them 30 days to sell their property. And then if they sold their property in those 30 days, they would firm up on ours. The market at the time was pretty healthy, so we didn't think that they would have issues selling their property. But what I advise my clients to do is instead of giving them 30 days, let's give them only 2 weeks or a little bit less, because we were entering September, and September is usually one of the busiest times. The fall market's very busy, just like the spring market. So I wanted to make sure that if this sale doesn't go through, we can relist immediately in September and hopefully find another buyer. So this is the end result. This is the offer we received. We accepted it. And then for 2 weeks, we were on MLS shown as sold conditional with an escape clause, meaning that we had to wait until the sellers or the buyers actually sold their property. And if they didn't, we would come back on the market. In the meantime, if anybody else wanted to make an offer on the property, they could. But typically, from my experience, once you show up on MLS as sold conditional with an escape clause, traffic dies down. Nobody's really going to be making offers because most people are assuming that you're likely going to sell. So here's what happens next. While the property was sold conditional with an escape clause, I obviously kept an eye out on the market just to make sure things will be okay if the buyers don't firm up. And in the meantime, these are the different charts. Basically, I was showing my clients to show them, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we should expect if we have to relist. Late August, early September, we started noticing the market was getting softer. As an example, I keep track of these charts where basically we're looking at pricing in the GTA relative to a 15-year seasonal trend. So this is the 15-year seasonal trend, and this dotted black line is what's happening in 2023. As you can see, prices are lagging, and in fact, they peaked in the spring, they dropped a lot more than they usually do, and now they're not going up as much. And in fact, when they should be going up from August into September and October, they're actually going down. So at this point, I'm obviously a little bit concerned, and I told my clients, hey, we might have to adjust our expectations. Originally, when we spoke about the average price of this property being, $787 or in the 780s, we have to make adjustments based on what we're seeing in the market, and also because we're seeing properties sit on the market a lot longer, especially in new market and especially condo towns. Another metric that was starting to kind of scare us a little bit as we were going from August into September, you will see that new listings were outpacing seasonal norms. So while we were sitting with the sold conditional escape clause, there were more listings coming on the market than we usually see. And while that's not that big of a concern, because typically, let's say in September, we'll see 15,000 listings, we're seeing 16,000 listings, so less than 10% of an increase. What I was concerned with, that we were absorbing, or there were 40% less transactions than usually what happens in September. So as an example, if we usually sell 7,600 homes, residential homes in the GTA for a regular September, for the September in 2023, we only sold 4,600. So that means a lot less absorption, a lot less buyers, and that was now becoming a concern. So at this point, if we were aggressive and we needed to sell, we needed to be more realistic with our price expectation and work with any offers that come our way. And unfortunately, in the middle of September came, the offer that we had on the table expired. They were not able to sell their property, so therefore they were not able to firm up on our townhouse. We had to then relist the property, at which point we decided to relist at 784, no offer night, and see what happens. Immediately as this happened, I was already ready with a new Facebook targeted campaign to start driving people into open houses, because I needed to get traffic into this listing and potentially try to get an offer from somebody so that we can make this thing happen. So this is to show you an example how the prior listing, I got 25,000 impressions, or I got in front of 25,000 people. Now with the exact same campaign, I got in front of 8,300 people. And this is because the listing or the marketing, the content has already been seen by so many people that the second time around, it just simply doesn't attract as many people. Last time I had over 50 leads, and now I only had 8 leads. And of these 8 leads, I was only able to connect with one that I was able to bring into the open house that we had the following weekend. That's why you only have one chance to make a good impression when you come on the market, and you want to make sure it's the best one the first time you come around, because as you see, the longer you stay on the market, the more difficult it becomes to then drive traffic into your listing. But anyway, that's the Facebook side of it. We then ran 4 open houses. I had over 60 different people come through the different open houses. A lot of people, different offers were being presented, and I'll kind of give you an idea of what happened between this point in time and when we actually sold in early November. And before we get into that, just to drive the point home, here's again our listing stats from MLS when we were listed the second time around. The first time around, we had over 6,000 views on MLS. The second time around, we were at 4,000 views. So as you can see, the longer you stay on the market, I can't reiterate this enough. You have to come on the market very strong the first time around. You don't want to be playing games with presentation or pricing. You want to come on strong so that hopefully you sell, because the longer you sit, the worse it's going to be. Here are the numbers to show you. To give you some high level stats in terms of activity and follow-up that happened for this particular listing, I had over 110 people in my CRM, which is my customer relationship management software, for this particular listing. This includes people that came through the open house, agents, inquiries, Facebook leads, social media leads, etc. So these are multiple people that I've had to follow up on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. From these leads, I was able to get roughly 5 offers. Of the 5 offers, the first one we saw for $815, and then we had 4 subsequent offers. One was at $780, but again, they wanted to put a contingency on them selling their property, which we did not accept, and some lower offers in the low 7s that were basically firm, which didn't work for my sellers. I didn't believe it was worthwhile selling for the low 7s. I thought the place was still worth at least in the mid 7s. Advised my sellers accordingly. I told them this is what I think it's worth. Now, obviously, if you need to sell because you need the money, then you can make your own decision. But that's what I told them. I think in terms of value, I personally had walked through all the competing listings in the area. I knew what I was up against. I knew we had a great product. I knew what we were worth relative to everything else that was out there. In the mid 7s, I thought it was a great purchase. As this was happening, obviously time is going by, and I noticed that the market was getting softer and softer. And here's the case in point. The softer the market gets, the worse it gets for the less desirable properties. And when I say less desirable, for example, condo towns are desirable properties. However, people have an allergy when it comes to maintenance fees. So this is kind of like the hindrance we had with this property. A lot of people kept bringing up the maintenance fees, although they're not bad at $450 per month, where everything on the exterior of the property is included in your maintenance, from your windows, garage doors, roof. They were actually fairly reasonable. However, it was something that was brought up multiple times when I spoke to different people in terms of their feedback as to why they don't want to bring an offer or why they're reluctant to bring in a higher offer. That being said, here's where the stats were landing as time was going by. You will see here for all of GTA condo townhouses, the average selling price, or the median price, was $790,000 in September. And here's where it was in November. In November, the price had dropped to $739,000 for median price for any condo townhouse across the GTA. This is basically showing me the sentiment of the market, and we're going to the winter where traditionally prices go down. So what does that mean for my list? This equates to roughly a 7% drop in price over those 2 months, and we were still on the market. So if we expected to get $780,000 as the market value back in September, that would mean that our property is currently valued closer to $730 than it is to $780. And with that, we obviously had to have the conversation with the sellers to figure out, hey, this is what's happening in the market. And obviously, we're going into the slowest time of year, which is December and January. If you need to sell, we'll need to start getting a little bit more aggressive with our price. And here's the final result of this listing. I have to say, between this and the other listings I've had this fall market, this one I thought would sell the fastest, and it actually took quite a bit of work. Some sold a little bit faster with way less showings, and that was just a matter of happenstance where I just found the right buyer. And then I've had other listings terminate, but I'm really happy with this one. And here's what I will explain to those of you who are thinking about selling, how you should be thinking about this process based on all the context I gave you. So first, to end up even at this result, this took a tremendous amount of follow-up and negotiation and talking to different buyers and agents to try to come up with something that was amicable for both sides. What's happening in the market right now is if the market value of this property was $740 or $750 or $730, most buyers will not come up with that price in their offer. They're going to try to front run a discount. And what front running a discount means is they will want 30, 40 grand off so that in the event this property declines in value into the future, they bought it at least a little bit cheaper so that when they close on it, hopefully they're not underwater on it and it's worth what they paid for it. So effectively, that's what you're seeing in the market right now. Selling at market is difficult, and this is where the challenge is. So if you sell at market, that for a seller is a massive win, because most properties, or a lot of properties, are either not selling, and if they are selling, they're selling for below market value in this current down market, which makes sense. This is also a great lesson in managing expectations with sellers. Now, I understand every seller is going to be different. Everybody's going to have a different motivation when it comes to the sale of their property, but you have to be in constant communication and updating sellers in terms of what's happening. And if they're actually serious about selling their property, this is how you have to be dynamic and be able to adjust to the market real time as it's happening. This was the key, because I couldn't just go to my sellers and say, hey, this place is worth a lot less. You have to come in with the data, show them solid stats. You have to be in tune with what's happening on the ground floor, because things are changing literally by the hour at this point. And as we go into the winter, things are likely not going to be look better. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some perspective and context and what it takes to sell a property in this market. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.